Welcome. I'm going to give everybody just a second to hop on. My name is Laurel Houston. I am the creator of Body Mapping and the founder of Reflections Inside and Out, where our goal is to help women love who they are inside and out. If you are joining us for the first time on these Monday mapping and mentorings, welcome. I am happy to have you. And if this is, you've been with us for a while, thank you. Thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for continuing to show up. So for those of you who are new, what is body mapping? Body mapping is a modality. Hello, Tasha. Body mapping is a modality that I created from 20 years of experience with working one-on-one with women, anatomy and physiology, body language, and spiritual practices. And so basically the short version is body mapping is teaching you how to understand your divine blueprint. Every person looks the way they look for a reason, and this shows up in your proportions, your symmetry, your shape, your size, your color, and body mapping helps you understand what all of that is. So today, with body mapping and mentoring, I want to talk about money and some of my unpopular opinions about money, but also where it's showing up in your body and why it's showing up in that certain way, and maybe just to kind of help give you a new perspective about money. So first, my unpopular opinion on money. When people say things like, oh, I don't care about money, I don't know why people would want to be rich, or they get really, really triggered when other people talk about how much money they do or do not have. This is my unpopular opinion. So we'll see who continues to follow me after this. My unpopular opinion is for the people who say things like, I don't want any money, I don't know what I would do with that much money, and they push money away. It's coming from a couple places. One, it's coming from a lot of programming around who the type of person is that has that kind of money and whether or not you want to be that person. So if you feel like people that have a lot of money are bad or evil or rude or whatever, and you don't want to see yourself as bad or evil or rude, you will stay away from money. The other types of people that say, I don't want money, tend to be very stingy. Okay, stick with me for a second. Money is a beautiful resource. And when people say, I don't want any money, it's because there's a part of them that lacks generosity. I cannot wait to have more money because there are so many different places, causes, things that I want to donate my resources, money, and time to, that is actually one of my driving forces. So when people say things like, I don't want a lot of money, it is because they lack generosity. And so if you are one of those people that have been saying, oh, I don't want any money, I have all the money I could need, why would people want that much money? Ask yourself, how much money would it take for me to be in a place where I feel like I can give? And this is a lesson I learned when I was 17 years old. I was at a conference for leadership conference, and the speaker said, if it is hard for you to give away $10 when you only have 100, it does not become easy to give away $10,000 when you have $100,000. Practice being generous no matter where you're at. And so I invite you to take this first piece to start shifting your money story with, I can afford to be generous. In what ways can I be generous? If I had X amount of dollars, this is what I would do to be generous. So a lot of times people are wanting to say that rich people are horrible people when they themselves are actually not willing to give. And it's because they're in a state of lack, and that has to do with their story, and we'll get to that in just a second. So then the other part of my unpopular opinion about money is that I think people really do need to be rich. The more I create, the more wealth I create, the easier it is to help people. And I'm going to share a little bit of my backstory here. When I first started my company, my husband was in college. We had our first baby, and I was making just over minimum wage in Utah. So I was making, I think, $9.50. and we were trying to pay for a college degree and support our family on a part-time job of $9.50 an hour. So when I talk about my money story, I was raised by a high school teacher who made, I think my dad's final year of teaching, he made $32,000 a year. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we had one income of $32,000 a year. So I do not come from wealth, but I do come from prosperity. And so that is kind of what I'm talking with this, is that I grew up and we always had enough to be generous. We always had enough food at our table to share with someone else. We always had enough clothing in our closets to give to other people. You can afford to be generous, and generosity is something that is the exact opposite of lack. So many times people talk about scarcity and lack, and so they say, get into abundance, get into prosperity, and it's showing up in your body. So a lot of times when people are in lack, they tend to store extra weight or toxins in their body. And so people who spend a lot of time in sickness tend to be people who are in lack. People who store a lot of extra weight on their body tend to be people who have to store it and save it for later. And so in body mapping, the two biggest places that money shows up are your belly, because that's the easiest place for our body to store things, and in your nose. And this is why. Your nose allows you to breathe in life. And if life is full of joy and prosperity and ease, it's easy to breathe. And when our money flow is congested, our nose gets congested, and it's really hard for us to receive, and it's even harder for us to give. And so in body mapping, money issues show up in your belly and in your nose. So I want to talk into this a little bit, especially when it comes to feminine energy, because feminine energy, feminine is actually a receive energy. And I've done a previous post on this, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but women are not natural givers. We are natural receivers. In order for a woman to create, she has to first receive. And so a lot of women that keep extra weight on, it's because they have given away so much time, energy, resource, love. They have removed their boundaries, and so their body is trying to hold on to and cling to what little it feels it has, what little time it feels like it has for itself, what little appreciation it feels like it has for yourself, what little love you feel like you have for yourself. It is actually one of the things that is making you maintain weight or extra fat, because your body is like, okay, this is the hardest thing to get rid of, so I'm going to hold on to it, because her mindset is, I have to give, and giving makes me a good person. And we have nothing left to give. We are tired. We are full of disappointment and frustration. We are unsupported emotionally. We cannot give anymore. It is depleting us to give. And in order to survive, we need fat. So let me know if that is an aha for you, because a lot of women who are struggling to release weight don't realize that the weight and the money are actually mirroring each other. And so you will release a whole bunch of weight, and then you'll be like, oh no, is it safe to do that? Will I have enough energy to continue on? So then you'll start to store. And your money patterns generally match that. You'll get a large amount of money in, and then you will spend it, save it, you'll remove it from your life, and then you'll go, oh no, that was a bad idea. And then you'll start to store it again. Money is meant to flow. Our energy is meant to flow. It's meant to receive and give and receive and give. You can afford to be generous. But if you have nothing to give in the first place, you have nothing to give. So women work on receiving. Work on receiving appreciation. work on receiving acknowledgement, work on receiving value for what you do. Um, when I talk about feminine energy and money, I need to go into this a little bit. This is really the first time in the history of the world where women are not dependent on someone else for their well-being. For the last, I would really only say about 50 years, women can freely get a job and make money. Where up until this point in history, women were dependent on marrying for their livelihood. I love random facts, so here's one for you. The term spinster comes from women who were unmarried and were actually self-sustaining. They could spin enough wool to sustain their own needs, have enough extra that they could then sell. And so these women tended to not get married until later on in life because their livelihood was not dependent, their bank account was not dependent on who they chose as a partner. And so spinster became a term for women who married later in life. And it was usually they married later in life because they had financial means. And so they didn't see it as a requirement. And so that's where the term comes from, is spinster. It's women who could spin enough wool to sustain themselves and sell some for others. If that's not an issue for me, where else could not show? I am working on receiving. Actually, I am open to receiving ingredients more and more. Susie, I'm not sure the question that you're asking. And I know you have a very low fat content, especially because that is your lifestyle. Susie is very active. Where else could not show? It's going to show up in your nose. It's going to show up in your lower back. Not receiving will definitely show up in your lower back. So with this spinster, because in history right now, women can hold jobs, we can receive money for our own personal value, but we all have coding in us. We have decades, centuries, millenniums worth of coding that says women are dependent on men or their fathers or their brothers or their husbands for money. And so women need to change the coding in their DNA. Women need to heal generationally. And I'm not even talking about like 100 years ago generationally. Most of you had mothers that were probably the first woman in their generational line that had a full-time job, that worked by choice, not by necessity. And some of you, your moms did work by necessity. So here is where all of this comes together. The world as a whole is healing. And part of that healing is that women need to start claiming their value. And because we live in a society where money is the trade, the currency, if we lived in a society that blueberries were the currency, then I'd be talking about blueberry farming. That's not where we live. We live in a society that trades money. So women need to start claiming that they are good with money. Just start there. I'm allowed to receive money. I'm good with money. But because for so long women weren't the people in charge of money, we have programming that says we're not good with money. And yet how many women have gotten their family out of debt? How many, and this isn't a women are better than men conversation, so do not misunderstand me there. My husband and I are full partners when it comes to our money situation. But our money situation didn't improve until I improved my mindset about our money. So that's why I'm talking to women. It was also affecting my body. It was affecting my lower back. It was affecting my stomach. It was affecting my nose. So Susie, how's your lower back? Because when your lower back is tense and tight, a lot of times there's money struggles. This is why this is all coming up today. I had 3 different clients today that I was working with, personal clients. They have businesses, and it's tax season. And so all of these stories about taxes and tax season and what that means are coming up. And I'm sorry, I feel like this is all over the place because I have so much that's like channeling through me right now. So I really am trying to be succinct with this. But a lot of people right now, March is actually a money month for a lot of people because it's your ending tax season, is the end of first quarter, and it kind of sets the tone for your money for the year. So money is really on a lot of people's mind right now. And I really, not bad. I've been doing yoga though. It's my shoulders and the right side of my neck. That's because you're carrying the weight of too much. Um, so with this change and shift and things that are happening in the world right now, the more women can start to say, I'm good with money. I'm allowed to have mass amounts of money. I want to be generous with my money. Feminine energy is about nurturing. And this is where what I was talking about at the very beginning comes back. When you are saying things like, I don't want any more money, it's because you recognize I have nothing left to give anyone. And you're saying money, but really it's, I don't want any more responsibility. I don't want to have to do any more. I don't want to have to give any more because I have nothing left to give. But when women receive, we have plenty to give. When women receive support, we are able to give support to others. We're able to hold people. Yay, Taylor. So women like me start putting on weight around the stomach around premenopause. Correct. That's a hormonal change. And that has a lot to do with hormone changes, but it also has to do with the emotional fact that many women who are premenopausal and are in perimenopause have a belief that they no longer have value because they can't create life. And yet there are women who have never created life and still have value. And so as you go through these hormonal changes, one thing I would say is really get clear on your story about what it means to be a woman. I was saying, yes, those are hormonal changes. And anytime you have hormonal changes around your period and your cycle, you have to recognize that you have programming that's not just yours, but you have centuries worth of generations of women, that their entire value was based on their ability to produce children. And so for women that are gaining weight, part of it is, do I still have value as a woman who no longer bleeds? And you do, because that never determines your value. And so this is what I want to just really quick finish up here, because I really try to keep these to around 20 minutes. So they're fast and easy to watch with money and with women and with feminine energy. When you allow yourself to receive, it's easy to be generous because you believe other people will receive from you as well. So I want to give you this scenario. Think about the people you love giving gifts to. Think about the people you dread giving gifts to. The people you love giving gifts to are the people that are like, oh my gosh, it's a rock. You got me a rock. That's so amazing. I'm so happy with this gift. Thank you. And you're like, I will buy you anything you want to. Let's go to Target. And the people that they're like, it's a rock. No. I wasn't expecting anything. It's okay. And they're either disappointed with the gift or they're like, oh, you shouldn't have. And they like hand it back to you as you give them something. You don't like buying them stuff. Well, the universe and money feel the same way. So when the universe is constantly giving you things and you go, oh, no, I don't want more money. I don't want help or support, because then that makes me look weak, or I have a story about I don't want to be that person that has those things. The universe takes note. So if you want to have the things that you want, you have to be willing to receive. Now, with that being said, if someone gives you a gift that you're like, no, really, you shouldn't have, that doesn't mean you have to accept things you don't want. And here's the big piece of the difference. People have different levels of their money mindset. They have, my needs are met. I can spend money on food, water, shelter, and it's base level, like we're eating beans and rice. I'm grateful for this house, even though it's falling down around me. All my need, I may not have what I want, but all my needs are met, right? I grew up hearing that. We can't always give you what you want, but your needs will always be met. And it was true. I was always fed. I was always clothed. I was always loved. I was always safe. I was always protected. I am not complaining about how I was raised. I had a beautiful childhood, but I rarely got what I wanted because what I wanted was out of our budget. So with our wants, or with our needs, if all you're willing to spend money on is needs, then you will only ever attract enough money to meet your needs. If you have programming that says you can't buy it just because you want it, then as soon as extra money comes so that you can buy your wants, you will push that away. You won't receive it. So stop buying your needs and stop buying your wants and follow your desire. Okay, I'm going to say that again because some of you just shut me down and went, wait, what? Stop buying what you need, stop buying what you want, and start following your heart's desire. Because desire is alignment. Desire is when your mind, your body, and your soul connect through your heart to source energy and your creator. Mine is God. So when you connect your heart to the creator of all things, to God and to Goddess, they will send you everything you require to meet that state of alignment. So here is why I have the unpopular opinion that I have, that people who push money away are in lack and scarcity because they're not generous. It's because they're tired. It's because they have nothing left to give, and they're afraid that if they receive more, they're going to have to give more. And that's simply not true. People who are truly generous don't give out of obligation, they give out of joy. They give out of desire. I desire certain things, and I am mind, body, and spirit aligned with that. When you give out of desire, your body is heavy. Your body holds on to weight. Your nose gets congested. Your lower back starts to ache. Your body has a visceral response that says, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? We don't want to do this. But you have a story in your head that tells you why you should. Ladies, receive, 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 receive. Receive. The reason we don't is because a lot of people have been taught to be generous, and we think that means I have to give and give and give and give and give. But if you have nothing, you can't give anything. You have to first receive. The more you're willing to receive, the more the universe will dote on you. Just like the people you love to buy gifts for, it's because they received the gift with joy and gratitude. Be the woman that is so grateful someone thought of her and gave her something that she's like, oh, thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. Even if you don't love the gift, thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for thinking of me. Oh, and I wasn't going to go here, but I feel like someone who's watching needs to hear this. When my husband and I were in our worst financial state, people would give us things, and I would get so angry, because they would buy us things that weren't actually helpful. We had our first daughter, and everyone likes to buy little girls clothes. And we didn't need more clothes. We needed diapers. We needed food. We needed to be able to pay our rent. So another $25 outfit for my daughter, who already had more clothes than she needed, wasn't helpful. And I would get so angry because other people were giving me things that I couldn't give to my own daughter. Like, they were these elaborate, expensive gifts, and I was like, I want to be the one that gives her that. But I don't even have enough money right now to put food on my table. So how dare you give her that? because I was in such a place of lack, I couldn't accept other people's generosity. Instead of saying, I am so grateful that you gave my daughter that because right now I can't afford it, I just said how much I hated money and how people are trying to buy my love and affection. End that programming. Receive, receive, receive. Because you know what? In the end, I only had one daughter. So I had a crap ton of hardly worn clothes that I was able to give to a really good friend who had 3 girls. And those really expensive clothes that other people bought my daughter blessed not only my life, but someone else's life. But I had to get over my resentment that other people could give me things that I couldn't give myself. I have had a constant stuffy nose for years, and it's not allergy related. This makes so much sense. That's my husband. Yeah. So when people are unwilling to receive, really do check in and ask yourself, just because you couldn't provide it for yourself doesn't mean that God didn't provide it for you still. It just came from someone else. There's so much around money. There's so much around women and money. But here's what I want to condense this down to. Practice receiving. Practice receiving without guilt, without shame, without remorse. Practice receiving. Secondly, stop saying, I don't want that, because you are limiting your ability to be generous. You are limiting your ability to give. You are limiting your ability to receive, and you are limiting your ability to become great. When I was worried about whether or not I could feed my family, I did not care if someone else's family got fed either. Yeah, I said that out loud. And I know I'm not the only one. It's statistically proven. If you cannot pay your bills, you don't have extra money to pay your neighbor's bills. But do you know what my husband and I can now do on a very constant and regular basis? Give. Because we stopped saying we didn't want money. And we started saying, when we have this amount of money, we're going to donate to this, and we're going to give this away, and we're going to buy this for this person that needs this. And we had a whole list of the exciting things we were going to do when we had extra money. You want money. Allow yourself to have money. What you don't want is extra responsibility. So don't take it on. Laurel, it's not that simple. Sure it is. Do you know why I love that I have money? Because it also means I have time. Because I have money, I have 4 employees that help me. So because I have money, I am allowing other people to make money and do something that they're good at that I suck at. Money is a beautiful thing, and the more you have, the more you can benefit the world. So ladies, start receiving money. This is a little bit longer than usual, and it's broken up into 2 parts. So I'm going to see if my assistant can get these merged together, and it'll probably show up as a YouTube video so that you don't have to find 2 different videos. But I love you, and I hope that you can start receiving money, mass amounts of money, because your worth is no longer tied to someone else's. We live for the first time ever in the history of the world where women are free to have as much money as they want, to have whatever relationships they want, because their relationships are not based upon their mere survival. Women no longer need money to survive. We're allowed to have money to thrive. And the world needs women who are thriving, because feminine energy is the healing energy. So yes, ladies, if you want to help the world heal, start allowing yourself to have more money. Start allowing yourself to receive good things, and start reprogramming the thousands of years worth of generations that say your worth is determined by your marital status or your ability to produce children, because it's simply not true.